How you feeling?
Oh,
Are you
yeah,
all right?
right.
Let's check in.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm not too bad. I'm getting a bit, but
Yeah.
I'm all right. Think I'm okay.
I
I'll
think
grab some lunch later.
yeah.
I'm not too hungry.
Well, I can geek out. So I've got so Bailey. I can see Bailey in the house. So talking about AI.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. So Bailey and I can geek out on AI for 1 o'clock if you want,
Okay.
and then we got Gary now. If you want to take half hour, 1 till half 1.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Fine.
is that
Do you
all right?
wanna do one later,
Yeah,
or
where you can do Gary Clark in the house.
Nice.
Yeah, we can do that. Let's just do that. We're contracting it publicly.
Yeah. So what do you think about that one?
Right, we've got one more on this stream, and then we're going to switch to the 1 o'clock stream. So let's get Gary on. Let's have a chat with Gary about, because he was supposed to be in person.
Yeah, I remember.
I saw his email. So it's okay to be selfish and prioritising you. So Gary, if you can hear us, bear with us. We'll be with you in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
While I just switch things up. Yeah, do you want another drink or anything?
No, I'm good. I've got loads of drinks. It's a yawn. That was the first time I think I've yawned today, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad. Hello to all of our people watching. How's it going? How are we? Still here? Thank you for joining. And if you haven't already donated, please donate. We've got some crowdfunding, match funding. So yes, please do. If you haven't already donated, donate a couple of quid. Every little helps. What strapline is that? Every little helps. What strapline is every little helps? Is it Tesco? Tesco, thank you. What's Tesco's?
Right, cool. Gary, ready. Marathon is
Yes.
real. Here he is. How you feeling, Gary? You all right?
Hello. Thank you. I'm better than I was. I've had this horrible lurgy that's going around. I've got my box of tissues and I've got a glass of water, so I'm all right. How are you?
Well, we're just having a little bit of the check-in. So go easy on us. We've recognised a little bit of a slump in our energy.
I've just been watching. Exciting to hear Sarah talking as well. So I've just been watching and trying to hang up at the right time so we don't get a double feedback.
Yeah, of course.
You guys are struggling. You need food. You need refuel.
Right.
Oh no, we're okay. Yeah,
We're good. No, we're in a good place. We're in a good place,
Yeah.
and I just wanted you to be aware that we're happy to just stay on a level for a moment. I know that you're not very well either, so that suits us all to have a slower, more thoughtful conversation here.
Nice,
Chill.
thoughtful conversation.
I'm a professional speaker. I have to pretend I'm okay. No, I don't have to be.
Yeah.
I'd rather be authentically
Well,
me.
where
and-
you are here, you ain't got to pretend to be okay. You're all right.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah,
quite all right.
you are what
mate.
you are.
You're quite all right.
All is
So
good.
you're right. So we haven't met before, Gary.
No.
Yes.
Next time I'm down, I need to come in. I've
Yeah.
driven past. So
Yeah. Fine. Okay. Cool. That's cool. So obviously, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I know that you sent in some bits that you want to talk about, mainly around prioritizing yourself, right?
yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a quick intro and then I'll
Yeah,
tell
go,
you, and then we'll get into the why, I'm sure, afterwards as well. So yeah, Gary Parsons, hello. So I am all about the colour yellow at the moment, and you'll see it. It's absolutely my brand. We'll talk about this word in a minute. I've realised I'm sat far too low for the camera. It's back to front. It says selfish.
We got you.
And absolutely something that I'm going to be telling you guys to be today is just to be a little bit more selfish. And yeah, I work with leaders in businesses, whether they are founders or they are leaders in I don't know, senior management team, senior leadership team. I work with them to just make sure that they are prioritizing themselves. And we'll get into this, but I spent a lot of my time in my previous business, which I exited after 15 years. I spent a lot of time just hearing HR and companies and I noticed Sarah's in organizational development that she was talking about, and the one thing that they always talk about is make sure you look after the employees' well-being. And no one ever spoke about the leaders, the people that are leading the organization, the ones that have got to, a little bit like you asked me how I am at the start, you know, that have got to pretend we're stood here, that we're invincible, we don't get winter bugs, and we are always okay. And yeah, I felt like in 2024, when I started to tell the world what I'd gone through and what we need to be doing, it was the right time, because we'd spoken about well-being enough and said, look, we need to start saying it's okay to not be okay. But we just weren't saying that to people that owned businesses. We weren't saying it to leaders in boardrooms. It was just a stigma was everywhere, really.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And it's true. It is true.
I kind of went like that when he said that, because I felt really sorry for myself.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
As a leader,
I'm really serious.
You're not allowed to feel, you know, you have to show up and have a bad day, or you're exhausted and you are carrying the weight of an entire organisation and staff and jobs and pressure and funding and all of these things. And then what about us? And do you know what's really fascinating? And I know that the LinkedIn crew, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm just going to say it because I'm too far gone now, I'm tired. But you get quite a lot of people, individuals and organisations, who bitch an awful lot on LinkedIn about their organisation have done this or toxic this or blah, 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 blah. And of course, to Sarah's point earlier, as an organisation, you are never, ever to reciprocate that. And I understand reputational risk and all that stuff. So there seems to be like an element of all of the organisations must be awful and toxic and horrible because all of these people are saying all of these things. But what's missing from that narrative is an organisational stance. Now, because of organisations and who you are and the, you know, the job in which you work in and the position, the custody of the organisation you have, you will never hear a word from any of them.
No.
So there seems to be this kind of imbalance between these awful, horrible places, according to all the staff, and yet no leaders say a word.
And Gary, I find it quite interesting, especially if you're working with lots of different businesses as well. I don't work that deeply with other CEOs in those places, but I certainly hang around with them, Danielle included. And I think, you know, what I find interesting is it goes two ways, in my view. What I see is it goes into people, leaders that are happy to have this discussion and have an honest, open conversation about that. And others just go, yeah, it's just the way it is, cold. They go a bit cold to the society or to the masses, if you like. I know it sounds, you know, because they're like, oh, well, you know.
Stay back, yeah.
Stay back. So, you know, the media guy told me to don't say anything.
Yeah.
I've been shut up a few times, especially like with the initiative and stuff like that. I've had to shut up and not say anything while I'm getting attacked. And I totally recognise that, but I unfortunately think, I don't know if it's right, but I would say 80% just retreat from this conversation. So I'm really happy that you brought this conversation to this, because it's a rare one. No one else talking about that.
Nobody else talk about it.
Yeah, and go back to some of the points that Danielle was making as well, is yes, there's organisations that are doing things wrong all the time. And it happens, and because they are humans in businesses. No matter where you sit, you are a human. And I don't want to invalidate anybody's experiences of what they're going through, but we are all going through something in our lives. And I live by a phrase, and feel free to take it on board, is that there's always a reason, but never an excuse. And
yes.
I want people to understand what is going on in my life. I might have said something to you in the wrong way, and absolutely I know it is wrong, but I want you to understand why I might have said it, or the actions I've taken, that we've had to do something in an organization commercially. A client used to say to me, Gary, it's not personal, it's business, and it used to pain me every time. But she was honest, she was right.
Yeah.
You know,
and actually, I'm really glad that you said that, Gary, because actually you've just demonstrated what I talk about all the time, which is nuance, right? Which there tends to be a lack of nuanced conversations. So I would just like to publicly go on the record and say that, of course, organisations are getting things wrong.
Yeah.
And the challenges and the behaviours are completely unacceptable in some cases. So I'd just like to add that, just in case that wasn't taken on as a given. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're right, and there's no excuse for it in so many occasions. Well, there's never an excuse for it, and sometimes there's very rarely a reason that we can justify in any shape or form. But we have to give some compassion to. I may be going with the majority of cases rather than the minority of things that you and we all know, people watching all know are absolutely wrong, and there was never a reason or an excuse.
Absolutely.
So,
But and sometimes in those
situations,
situations,
yeah,
I do think in those even in those worst case situations, and I've worked in my past in past careers for one organisation that did something quite horrific for the planet. That was something to do with opioids, and you see, the
fallout of that.
Well, you've got thousands of people, and there's a guy I used to work with there. It was actually like these glory years. No one knew what was. I'm like working in IT support as like a minion on the floor. No idea what was going on. I loved the experience. It's like sweet. We're hiring Centre Parks for the week. Yeah, sure, let's go. And there are leaders within that, and there are leaders within that, and there are boards, and then there are shareholders, and then there are a few minority of people that have such a sway and influence that would maybe say to someone, if you were to compromise on this, we can. So I still think it still comes back down to one or two. So when we say organisation, I still think it comes down to one or two people that may well be driving that compromise. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, one of the things that I always talk to companies about as well is, and getting this message across, is that yes, absolutely. What we're not saying here, by the way, and if we're making sure that we're getting all of this in, what we're not saying is that employee well-being doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. But employee leaders are employees. Whether you own the business or you're employed as a leader, you are an employee. You still matter. And it's important that we look after all of you. And I believe in a system where we look after well-being from a top down rather than a bottom up in organizations. And I believe in that because we can create more empathy when we're trying to get a leadership team behind an initiative, behind a campaign, behind spend of pennies and pounds, hundreds of thousands these days, be able to do that. Then we need to make sure we're creating some empathy. And actually, if we're getting right down, and I feel like we're very early in to use this phrase, but just some self-awareness, because what we just said earlier about somebody is going through something here within that boardroom, whether people have lost loved ones through cancer, awful things that are happening, whether they've lost an elderly relative, whether their other half has been made redundant, whether the company's struggling with cash flow. There are normal things happening to normal people.
Life
and if they have some self-awareness of their well-being, that, well, in my experience, it rarely impacts the rest of the business because they're able to catch it early and they're able to deal with it. But of course, when they don't, it turns into negative, toxic behaviors that we see within businesses.
Yeah, interesting. Love Gary.
Yeah, fascinating.
Come on, Gary.
And I guess that's why I talk about being selfish. And actually, you'll often see me stood with a bright yellow jacket, a bright yellow t-shirt, because I need to be the loudest, brightest person in the room talking about something that, particularly in leadership. And when we don't talk about well-being generally in the population as much as we need to. I mean, you guys are just doing this. It's amazing, which I love. I love the fact that you're having conversations that are normalizing, like I say, those normal things that happen to normal people. And I can contribute to it from a leadership point of view alongside Sarah and everybody else. But if I got to stand in a room and talk about it, what I do is I tell people they need to be selfish. And it was only a year ago I tapped into this phrase because I realized for a long time I've been telling people they need to prioritize their well-being, prioritize their mental health. And it felt selfish. And then I sat there one day around Christmas last year and went, so what? So what if it's selfish?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I like that.
It's taking back that word, right? Yeah, it's taking back the word self. There's nothing wrong with being selfish sometimes.
I think
there
language
is sometimes
important.
problems with being really
yeah.
selfish, but it depends upon your use of it and in which context
Yeah,
that
it's
you
all
have it. And
context.
again, there's nuance. But what I love about your brand, Be More Selfish, starts the conversation, because then
Yeah.
people can come and ask what that means and how, and start to think about how that then feeds into their life at that point and in which particular context. You know, I've got 2 teenagers. I can't really be selfish when it comes to my kids. My kids are very selfish. They find it really easy to be selfish. And I mean that with the greatest of respect, because they're teenagers and actually they're quite self-centered. They're living their life in a way they haven't got all of this bad behavior, I guess, from our point of view. So it's how you use the word, how you kind of live it, I guess, depending upon where you are in life.
Yeah, and you're right. Self-indulgence, self-centered, egotistical. You know, we hear all those negative words with it. For any of those word nerds out there, it was a word that was formed in 1640, and it was very moral back then. If you were looking after yourself, you weren't looking after anybody else. It was very binary in that sense that you had to look after everybody else, and you did not matter. And it was absolutely frowned upon if you looked after yourself in any shape or form. And as a parent, you feel like you haven't got any choice. But I ask you the question, Danielle, is if you've got children that you think are self-centered, and perhaps we'll have this off air, we'll have this conversation, but if you see them that are self-centered and you see those negative traits, and I'm please take this in a positive sense, as a role model for those children, do you see that you need to be selfish in a positive way, that you show that it's self-prioritization because you can't always be there to look after them? You are only one person, you've only got so many spoons, so much
Yeah.
energy to give to the world, so they need to
Yeah.
be self-sufficient.
Great question. Oh, we were talking about all of this before. When I use these words, I don't use them from a negative
No, exactly.
context at all. It's just accepting that that's the way in which they behave right now. And I could perhaps use the words, oh, they are more self-aware, but they're not, that's not self-aware. They're just, they are so, they are concerned about their life at this precise moment. And that's the way it should be. So there's no negative connotation. And the way in which I bring my children up, certainly, is that they are now being aware of their responsibilities in the family setting. So, for example, I was speaking earlier on to somebody saying that, the washing goes on Saturday and Sunday in my house. If you miss the washing, then you've got to do it yourself, because you missed the washing window, basically. If you didn't get it downstairs on Saturday, on Sunday, it doesn't get washed. But what that teaches you is that there is a system at home, and if you don't operate within the system, then the consequences of that are that you have to do the washing by yourself. But even in that, in and of itself, that's not a bad thing for you to learn how to do the washing by yourself. And even if I end up doing the washing on a Saturday, then you can bet your bottom dollar that they have to open the washing machine and help me hang it, or take it down, or iron it. So it's not about the use of those words in a negative way. It's about understanding, for me, for them, that is a stage of development where they are thinking only of themselves, because that's what tends to happen with teenagers. But I also want to think about how I do, and me and their dad are very selfish in our time together, and I mean it's with intent. We go raving. My kids can get a pizza, or they live next door to their nan, and quite frankly, if they're not around, mate, go see your nan. I'm sure she's going to be able to sort you out some food, because our date night or our date day, because we go raving during the day.
Day raver.
These days, yeah.
Yeah, I'm over 40, right? I get it now.
Exactly, right? But that's us, and it's important to carve out that time for ourselves to work on ourselves and our marriage. So it's all kind of, I suppose it's the language and what people do with that language.
I think so. Stay with the language, because I think when we talk about leadership, I'm obsessed with language. By the way, I think
fascinating stuff.
It's just one word can just, like you say, interrupt. And the way that you've used selfish in this way to interrupt that dialogue, that kind of conversation. I think it's really interesting. I think we're at a time now where we talked about awareness earlier of well-being, mental health, where we are as a society, but at the same time, taking back. We're a rebellious time. We're in a really rebellious time in the next few years, which is all me, because I'm a pirate, right? So And again, pirates are another word, right? Pirate, you think, oh, God, the pillaging, whatever, But actually, if you look at the history of pirates, they're pretty cool. You're a pirate, yeah? You recognise. Yeah. We all recognise the pirates. So they do. So anyway, if you take that word and claim it for social entrepreneurship, so that's actually an NSI word. What that means to me is a citizen hub. What that means to me is a community bank. What that means to me is a community theatre or a community pantry, or that they are people that are moving away from the norm to do something in their own right. I wonder what other words come to mind. What other words could be claimed back from that kind of negative? Have you got any other words in your toolbox, Gary, when you're working with leaders? And Justin's just left the room. I bet Justin have a few.
Yeah, you've really put me on the spot. So I'm sick of the word balance because nobody does it. Nobody's any good at balance.
Yes, love that.
Yeah, nobody knows how to balance. I mean, I've done dancing and Latin dancing and stuff. So I know I'm not quite raving, but it's quite an interesting mix of Latin American and raving. But nice. Yeah, certainly balance, and we're rubbish at it, especially because we're sat down and crouched in front of a computer. A lot of us all day long. We try and balance somewhere, and we don't have a real good core. So balanced in the physical sense and balance in the and the holistic sense of it is particularly needs to get better. Somebody said I was subversive the other day. I love that word. It's quite silky and beautiful. So subversive is trying to do something kind of behind. I can't quite remember the exact dictionary.
Have a look at that one.
I'm trying to change people's way of thinking about the word selfish.
That's a subversive thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like submarine. I don't know. It's great. But
you're asking the wrong people. Our brains are not working very well.
Yeah, I was going to say though, Alex, I have it on good authority, and I'll let you make the connection, that you're probably one of the most selfless people that they know. And I know you put a lot of your time into lots of different projects. So I know you're talking to me, but I was curious of how you balance your time. And
no one ever asks me any questions. That's not the rules of a Liveathon. Can't ask me any questions. I'm pretty selfish. Like, genuinely, if you ask Christine, I choose everything I do. I live in absolute privilege of my diary. My diary is everything to me. So we talk about understanding yourself, reflection. We had Josh Phelps on earlier talking about, like, for me, your diary is your autobiography. You can't lie. Your diary don't lie. So at the end of the year, I have an end of year ritual. I do a digital detox, and I have a bit of a ritual. And one of the first things I do is I pull up my diary week by week for the year, and I pull out key moments, key things to reflect on, what kept coming. And the beauty of AI now, by the way, and I'll talk to Bailey about this afterwards, is that shortcuts that whole process by a long way, because I can go, okay, cool. Where were the rhythms? Who did I spend time with? I'm pretty ruthless, actually, as a person in terms of where I put my time. Anyone will tell you in the hub. I see Jason here. Jason, I see you sneaking there. Debs will tell you. Anyone will tell Sasha, who's my assistant program officer over there, will tell you, I'm a ruthless guy. You can catch me in a minute. You'll get 10 seconds. I'll tell you. If you can't tell me in 10 seconds, you ain't getting nothing out of me. But if you tell me in 10 seconds, you get everything.
Yeah. But
I'm pretty ruthless.
But I think it's fair to say, again, you don't fit into one of these buckets, because
I'm a bit of all sorts.
Gary's point, you are selfless in your work because you are thinking of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
That's my purpose.
Yes. So in terms of being selfish in order, the behaviours required in order to do that, the laser focus, that's also something. Yes, you've talked about being ruthless, but so you are a multitude of things, and we all hold a multitude
different day, different
of
me.
Things. Absolutely.
Because I ask that question of myself regularly: who am I today?
Yeah.
So I learned this from a very young age. So I was a young father, Gary. So I was a 14-year-old father, and one of the things that I learned through that time, for pretty much from 0 to 18 of my eldest son's life, the most time we would average, especially from like 0 to 13, was about an hour a month, maybe an hour every other week if I was lucky. Some of that would have been supervised. So what I learned through that, and I've reflected a lot on this over the years, is the power of being present. I could be really with you. I'm with you guys right now. I can see these other people, and I've got love to you all, but I'm with you, and I'm with Gary. And I think the power of presence. Don't let that dog near Danielle. She's allergic.
Yes,
Hi, Jazz.
Yeah, sorry. One shout out to my husband. Husband, if you are watching, please bring me an antihistamine. Thanks, love.
But so I think being present wherever I am, live where my feet are, is something I live by. If I'm on holiday with my son or my family, or I'm on my detox, don't try and get hold of me because you ain't getting hold of me.
Boundaries. To Gary's point, you would say that's being selfish in creating.
I'm being
boundaries,
totally
right?
selfish.
Is that right, Gary? He's being selfish.
Yeah, I would
good,
do.
right?
And I think it's, and I love it. I love everything you've just said. So I'm glad this is being recorded and going somewhere, because there's so much beautiful things that you've just said there that people need to learn. Like, it's wherever your feet are. That is in itself is so powerful. And what I picked up on was, and only from my own experience particularly, is that you learned that through the adversity that you went through. And there are so many people that haven't yet gone through that level of adversity who need to hear this, that need to get there, that need that self-awareness. Because I don't know whether you would say it, but I would certainly argue, and I'll tell you briefly. So I had a business for 15 years. It was a 7-figure business. I exited it it'll be nearly a year's anniversary on the 3rd of February. It was thank you, 7-figure business, multi-award winning, did incredibly well. But in 2017, when we were turning over 1.2 million, after a conversation earlier in the year with my doctors, where he said, "What's stress like for you?" And I kind of invented a new number, and I said, "Oh, other people might say it's a 10 out of 10, but mine's a 10 out of 20, because apparently you can move the measurement up when you get to the 10.
I like that.
He invented a whole new measurement. It was great. 6 months later, I got diagnosed with severe depression. I'd lost myself in that business, getting so absorbed and so excited, and not seeing my mum, who lives 100 miles away from me. I saw her twice a year, once for birthdays, once for Christmas. And I'd lost anything outside of work. And I crumbled at that point. I've got to say, I came out of it. I did CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. I did so much more to learn about myself and put that superhero cape on and learned so much more. I then turned everything around in the 7-8 years following to grow that business dramatically, where I exited it at the point where I was 41, where I exited that business 4 years earlier than I thought I would. And particularly because I wanted to tell this message, because the stigma existed in business. And I talk about that because I've gone through that adversity, I've gone through that challenge, I've come out the other side of it. And sorry to get super serious, but there are some people that don't, some people that sadly are no longer with us. And there are absolutely, I feel a duty to make sure that we help those people, but also stop it, because economically, I had some politicians I was watching earlier that came on, and I've been down in Westminster a lot and talking to my local MP, and I keep saying to them, if you want to grow GDP, if you want to grow your economy, if you want to grow your business, get your leaders to be more self-aware, because they can, in a more sustainable, more, if you only care about money, invest in well-being. Simple as that. Just invest in well-being. If you take anything from today, spend money on well-being, because it will make you more sustainable. It will grow. You'll make better decisions. I did a survey. You can tell I'm getting on my soapbox now. I did a survey in May last year with the Chamber of Commerce in the East Midlands, and that was 338 leaders. It said that 75% of leaders acknowledged that the decisions that they made are impacted by their level of fatigue, but less than 5% were doing anything about it.
Yeah, decision fatigue is one of the biggest things. There's one thing I'm constantly talking to my team about, and Christine, decision fatigue. I did not, all of this was not as stressful as deciding what the hell am I going to eat today or where. because it's decision fatigue. 100%. Yeah, I'm with you there. 100%.
I don't know if it's true, but I heard that the reason why Simon Cowell gets up every day and puts a grey T-shirt on and
That's
grey,
right.
whatever,
Remove
is so he
decision fatigue.
less decisions in a day. And
Right.
I don't know whether that's correct, but it was an
No, you're
interesting.
right. You're right, and I'm with you. The same reason with like food. If I could have a pill, I don't got to think about it. Like honestly, I'm just anything that just keeps me focused on the mission. Gary, this has been fascinating.
Yeah, really,
and sorry
really
we couldn't meet
cool.
in person. Let's make time to do that.
Everything happens for a reason. I'll be down there. We'll be there a whole day. You'll not get rid of
That's
me.
right,
So
creative
Fabulous.
things.
yeah, that sounds quite threatening, but it's a good thing. Maybe
No,
there.
yeah, we have some fun. You watch out. And then off the back of this, someone will get in touch with a link to join a WhatsApp group. All of the speakers are joining the Citizens Lounge. One, selfishly, so we've only got to say thank you once at the end of this 24 hours. But two, for those connections that inevitably we're going to thread throughout the rest of today. So I appreciate you, Gary. Thank you very much. And we'll be seeing
Thank
you soon,
you.
all right?
Thank
Yeah,
you
and
so much.
please
Lovely
give
to
money,
meet you.
please raise money, please help.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
children
be
need
less
style
selfish.
thing.
No.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Right.
mate.
Be
Bye.
selfish.
Gary.
Be self, guys.
See you, mate.
Oh, I'm being selfish. Yeah, I'm going to go and grab a pill.